My partner left me with our 2 young children after grooming me for years. How do I heal? I am 26 female and my ex-partner is 69. That is a huge age gap. What can like 26-year-old and 69-year-old even have in common? Anyway, that's hard to type out and admit to the situation I found myself in. This has been my biggest secret for years. That sounds really dark. I met my partner at 19. I worked as a waitress at the bar/restaurant he owns. I had a lot of fun, I was cute, and I loved being around customers. My personality was sarcastic and charming. A lot of people became my friends there. He watched me a lot and gave me uneasy vibes. I kept it to myself. He was a known creep. I didn't think much of it until I turned 21, still working as a waitress, and he started becoming inappropriate with me. He would touch me around corners and spaces where I couldn't push him away, or it would be obvious to others what he was doing. For some reason, I didn't want to get him caught. He stayed in a dark room next to the bathrooms. When I went to go pee one drink night after work, I was drinking with my coworkers. He held my wrists and let me into the dark side of the room and forcibly made me make out with him. That was the beginning. What? Okay, so if he was a known creep, like couldn't you find another place to work at? Like, I'm sure there are a lot of bars and restaurants. And also, why didn't you just make a scene? Whatever, he's trying to be inappropriate with you. Who cares? Like, make a scene. He's being an old creep. That is like so disgusting. And also, can you even trust men who are old? Like, for example, I really love my grandpa and I have a soft spot for grandpas. But you know, as you get older, you realize like that creepiness in men, it doesn't even go away with age. It's really gross and disturbing. And also, I wonder, how can somebody force you to make out with them? Like, I don't know if she was drunk at the time or what. Because, like, if somebody tried to, like, kiss me against my will, like, I don't know, I'd try to fight them off or I would, like, scream. I wouldn't just be like, okay, let's make out. Ew, that's gross. Not to victim blame, I'm sorry, but I'm just genuinely kind of curious. It continues. I didn't have much family, and what I did have was an addict mother and a distant dad. Well, that explains a lot. I didn't have a good example or even anyone to talk to about this. He poured sweet words into my head and professed his love, and honestly, it felt nice. He had found out I was a virgin after our first encounter. I was too scared to tell him I didn't want to look like a child. He treated me like a hookup. Once he found out I was a virgin and he was my first, he had become obsessive with me. This is so disgusting, man. It also sounds like a little bit to me, no offense, like in the beginning, were you like into this guy? Because like, I don't know. If he harassed you at work and you didn't go to the police or you didn't leave this place and found another job, like, did you like on some level like this dude? Like, not even this dude, this fucking grandpa, this whole ass grandpa. Ew. And also, I hate how disgusting, gross, ugly, piece of shit men always prey on women like this who come from not the best families and who don't have a support system. They always prey on them, and that is absolutely disgusting. These men out there, oh my god, the audacity. Whew, okay, let's continue. I found out he was married and had children older than me. This guy is making out with a girl who is younger than his children. What a fucking creep. He gave me the same story any married man would give you, and me being so struck by him, I dealt with it. Why were you so into him? Was he like a very good looking grandpa? But even then, like, he's a grandpa, like, yikes. I don't know if there's like, I can't. I understand like some women may be like, oh, men in their 40s, they're so fine and sexy. But like men in their 70s, like, come on. Anyway, I know I'm wrong. I will be punished in life for what I've done emotionally to this other woman. I am not a victim. Yeah, I think you are a victim though. I think you are. Let's continue. He convinced me to have his child. This story just continues to progressively get worse. And honestly, I don't know if I'm here for it, but let's continue. He was having sex with me unprotected and professed how badly he wanted another chance at fatherhood. Does this guy's dick even work? Does he like does he take like a Viagra or something to have sex with you? That's so disgusting. Ugh. He was so busy with his first children, he felt he missed out. His parents moved from his hometown in Greece to help him, and his wife raised the children. I gave in. I was 23 and wanted a child. I knew he could support that child comfortably. I was very naive. Like, at 23, you knew you wanted a child. Is it just me, or I feel like people who are like in their early 20s, like in my eyes, they're like still kids. Like, I am still in like in my mid-20s, but if like I met a 23-year-old, I would just see them as a kid. I don't feel ready like to have kids, and I know like a lot of people who are like even in their 30s and they don't feel ready to have kids. But at 23, like, you're way too young. I don't even know if you know what you want from life at that age. Whew, all right. I was induced and had a quiet, lonely labor without him present, of course. I moved in with my mother and raised my daughter quietly, mostly on my own. My pregnancy was kept secret until I gave birth. All right. I love her so much, my whole life felt changed. Honestly, this is becoming a shit show, but let's continue. It was hard to cope having him pop in and out, but I tried to believe his love and made it work. Anytime I asked him for more time, he got angry and told me I was asking too much. So you wanting to spend more time with him is asking too much, but him like wanting you to have a whole baby is not asking for too much? Make it make sense. This guy is such a slimy piece of shit. Like, if he was next to me, like, I would probably want to punch him. Yikes. Big yikes. He was becoming insecure and more controlling. He secretly put trackers on my car, had my phone location, and checked my phone regularly. On one hand, he doesn't want to spend more time with you, right? He just wants to pop in and out whenever he pleases. But on the other hand, he also doesn't want you to have your own life. He just wants you to stay home with the baby and do nothing. Wow. Okay, cool. I broke it off because I resented my loneliness so much. I became close with the guy my age. Yes! He was compassionate, loved my daughter, and enjoyed being my friend. Sounds like a catch. My ex-partner discovered my relationship by having microphones and trackers on my car in a diaper bag. Please tell me you didn't get back with your ex. Please. I was trying to co-parent with my partner, but he makes it very difficult trying to bring me back to him. Eventually, he convinced me to come back to him, move out of my home, and try to be a family. I gave in and tried my best to make this work. Oh my God. He's more insecure, calling me insults, a whore for being with another man, and that I have ruined everything. He will never love me the same. He literally fucking ruined your life, and he's like, you ruined something, and he won't love you the same because you were with the guy your own age? With a guy whose fucking balls don't sack to the floor? What? He eventually calms down, and we get into our little routine with very high ups and very low lows. Like I said, this gets progressively worse. Fast forward, I accidentally become pregnant with our second child. I was distraught. I didn't know how I would handle 2 children on my own with very little help. My pregnancy put me in hospital a dozen times from extreme sickness, which looking back was extreme anxiety. I wanted to terminate, but I couldn't afford it, and he wouldn't allow me to. Of course. He confessed the affair to his wife and moved in fully with me. She threatened me and tried to confront me, but I was very pregnant and sick and I couldn't handle it. He reassured me he was with me because the kids needed him. He promised he would never leave. I tried to be secure and be excited for our second child. We found out it was another girl. I was happier than I'd been in years. Honestly, I feel like so bad for his ex-wife. Because like, I don't know how long they've been married, but it sounds like they've been married for a very long time and they had kids together. And then your husband just moves in with the girl who's like 40 years younger than him. Man, this guy's a piece of work. A few days before I had our daughter, his oldest child died in a tragic accident. I tried to wait and hold off going into labor before the funeral. I had my child the morning of his viewing. Midnight, I went into labor. He had stumbled home after drinking and grieving. He tried to force sexual acts on me, but I had to explain I was in labor. Is this guy stupid? He yelled at me on the way to the hospital for being in so much pain I threw up in the car. He was so different. I chalked it up to his child dying. I needed to let him go through it, and at least he was there this time. I had a very hard labor. Our daughter got stuck, but she came 3 hours later. He seemed dissociated the whole birth. He left an hour after I had her to go home and sleep and get ready for the viewing later. He patted my shoulder and said, "Good job." I bit my lip and tried to be positive. My mother brought me home 2 days later. Like, I feel like this story is not for Reddit. Like, this girl should tell this story to her therapist. Oh my God. I learned to breastfeed and give my toddler attention. I never asked him to help me. I was on my own again, and I was determined to do it on my own. He was in between my house and his ex-wife's to help. They were both grieving. I tried to be understanding, but I was alone except for at night. I started resenting him and fighting more than ever before. He started going away on fishing trips more and more. He only came home for sex. I kept the house clean and tried to keep him happy with sex even if my body wasn't ready. He was getting frustrated and pushing me away. He couldn't accept my postpartum and said him being financially responsible was enough. I asked too much and I wasn't happy at all. All I did was bitch at him and I was unappreciative. I was a whore. What? Eventually, nothing could be said. Maybe I'm wrong for bitching all the time. I couldn't stop. I just wanted to pull him in and be able to be there for him while he was grieving. I had a lot of suspicions. He started hating me. He insulted me and put me down. Sex started to hurt. He was different. I became different and angry when before I would pretend to be happy. It all ended a few days ago. He called me on his way back from a fishing trip. He said we were done. I pushed him away and I caused this. After a lot of me begging for an explanation, he finally told me he's going back to his wife. They needed to support each other in their grief. He says I played a huge role in this, and his child dying was karma for what we did. His child dying was karma for what we did? It wasn't the karma for him on hitting on a 21-year-old girl and having kids with her? Like, oh my God, this guy. No accountability, no responsibility. Honestly, you should count your blessings. Thank God he left you. Never go back to him. Just, you're still young. I hope you can figure it out. Get a job. Go to a therapy. Maybe you can meet another guy your own age and just build a new life away from this piece of shit. He packed all of his things and I came home to an empty house. I'm gutted and devastated. Our last conversation, he wants me to live in our current home that he owns and he will make a lease agreement. I have to sign. I will not be doing that. I'll be moving with my family an hour and a half away and filing an emergency custody. I will let him have some time as well. One of the terms in his lease is that I have to agree to never have another man around our kids. I will never sign and let him control me again. How do I heal and co-parent with this man that hurt me all these years? Honestly, this is so tragic and I'm like literally surprised that this is on Reddit. I don't know what to say. Like I think like the only thing that can help you is maybe therapy, and at 26 it's not too late to go back to school and maybe you can, start your own life away from this piece of shit man. Like once you get a job and you make your own money and you feel like you're more in control of your own life, hopefully you can meet a good guy your own age and start new. Never under no circumstances get back with this piece of shit guy. And it's very tragic what happened to you. And this guy, I cannot even express how much I hate him.